At this point, Tony Stark has basically a new Iron Man suit for every day of the week. Hi, my name is AJ Spatola with Top 10 Nerd, and these are the top 10 Iron Man suits you've never seen before. At number 10 is the Mark Nil armor. Starting off with a brand new suit that only die-hard fans are gonna recognize, because this bad boy just recently made its big debut not even 3 months ago, so unless you've been keeping up with the latest Invincible Iron Man comics, this bad boy's probably slipped under your radar. Pun intended, because this bad boy's a stealth model. You see, Tony Stark cooked up this stealthy beauty when Stark Unlimited fell into the wrong hands, specifically those of the human supremacist Fei Long, who used Tony's vast resources to build an army of Iron Man Sentinels. And so what better way to infiltrate your own factory but by designing a suit that's all about staying off the radar, favoring undetectability above all else. First off, it's got active camouflage, rendering it virtually invisible, Predator style. Additionally, the suit also possesses van der Waals adhesion circuits similar to the Model 70 armor, which allows it to stick to vertical surfaces, mimicking Spider-Man's wall crawling, to maximize Tony's verticality while minimizing the use of those loud-ass propulsion jets. And while it's also sporting those other Iron Man-centric paraphernalia, like the obligatory repulsor beams, Tony really can't be too cocky in the suit, because it's much more fragile as a suit of armor compared to his other suits. Oh, and speaking of cocky, you might have noticed that Stark didn't even bother giving it a fancy name or official designation. All of that in the name of stealth. At number 9 is the Xirin armor. This suit comes from a what-if storyline where Iron Man, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and the Hulk form a new Fantastic Four to take down Thanos, which is an absolute power-packed Marvel scenario. But what really piques our interest here is the Xirin armor. You see, this suit has an epic backstory. It all started when Xirin, a Celestial, met his unfortunate end at Thanos' hands with the Infinity Gauntlet. And after some cosmic shenanigans, Tony Stark and Bruce Banner got their hands on Xirin's arm. But what they discovered was mind-boggling. The Celestials controlled their armor using just their thoughts. Tony, being Tony, figured out how to adapt it to human thought and connected it to the negative zone thanks to Mr. Fantastic's tech. The Xirin armor should be off the charts in terms of power. It can take planet-shattering blows and even survive nuclear warheads. It might even outclass some Celestials and even the God-Killer Mark II. And if you've never heard of that one either, stick around for more. If you're enjoying the video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Top 10 Nerd, and ringing that notification bell. Really helps us out, and I really appreciate it. And number 8 is Model 53, otherwise known as the Squirrel Buster. It all started when his regular suit couldn't handle an evil clone of Squirrel Girl. Yeah, the one with the squirrels. To tackle her squirrel-fueled antics, Tony crafted this uniquely adorable armor. It's got a cute squirrel head, and it's not just for looks. It houses a backup RT node. Of course, it also comes with repulsors, and these aren't your average beams. They've given Black Panther a run for his money. Plus, the suit as a whole bears a striking resemblance to the Hulkbuster suit. Even after designing an entire suit just to beat Squirrel Girl's evil clone, the showdown didn't go Iron Man's way, mainly because the clone used her wits and weapons. But if she didn't have those gadgets, Tony might have snagged the win. But considering Squirrel Girl's track record, that seems pretty unlikely. At number 7 is Model 60. This one's got a nifty twist. See, Tony Stark designed it to be more than just a suit, and it's got some serious style. You won't believe this, but it can transform into, drumroll please, a Vespa. Yeah, you heard me right, a Vespa, like the Italian word for wasp, which is perfect since Tony took Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp, on a date with it. Talk about clever wordplay, but there's more. When things start to get tough, the Vespa can shapeshift into a fully fledged Iron Man suit, and it's got all the bells and whistles you'd expect. Flight, repulsor beams, super strength, the works. Oh, and it even rocks a cool energy sword. So it's a date night vehicle, a Vespa, and a high-tech suit all rolled into one. Now that's what I call versatility. At number 6 is the Sniff Buster. Okay, so back in the day, Iron Man's suit at one point had a nose. I know. It sounds bizarre, but here's the scoop. See, one day, the legendary Stan Lee saw an Iron Man cover and casually asked, hey, where's his nose? What he meant was that the helmet looked super snug on Stark's face, and so his eyes should be further back from the surface of the faceplate so that Tony's nose wouldn't be so squished underneath. But the illustrators got it all mixed up and actually added a nose to the armor. Tony Stark tried to justify the odd choice by claiming it allowed for more facial expression and upped his fearsome factor. Unsurprisingly, no one in the Marvel Universe was buying it. They openly mocked Iron Man's nose, calling it ridiculous. Fortunately, this nasal experiment didn't stick around for long, and it hasn't resurfaced since. At number 5 is Stark Odinson, aka Iron Hammer. In this alternate reality, the Infinity Stones cause a cosmic mashup, merging our beloved heroes into new, mind-bending forms. Stark Odinson is the fusion of Tony Stark and Thor, who stands out as the result of this fusion. In Warp World, Stark Odinson is no ordinary Iron Man. He's the son of Howard Odin, the chieftain of Asgard. His armor, the Iron Hammer, is an ingenious blend of Asgardian magic and Stark technology. But what sets him apart is his colossal hammer, a divine tool capable of delivering thunderous justice. At number 4 is Iron Man Noir. Iron Man Noir, folks, an intriguing twist in the Marvel Universe. Picture Tony Stark, but not in the modern age. We're talking 1930s here. He's still the genius inventor we all know and love, crafting an Iron Man suit before it was even cool. But here's the kicker. He's an explorer, a treasure hunter, roaming the world for lost artifacts. While on his escapades, he forms unexpected alliances and delves into the shadowy past of his own family. It's a blend of history, mystery, and good old Iron Man tech. This alternate reality showcases a whole different side of Stark, showing that heroism transcends eras. At number 3 is Iron Lantern, a fusion of two iconic comic book universes, Marvel's and DC's amalgam universe. Imagine a story where Tony Stark and Hal Jordan were combined into one character. In this alternate reality, Stark's life takes a sharp turn when an alien ship crashes on Earth, leaving him critically injured. To save himself, he concocts an armor from the wreckage, powered by a lantern power battery from the crashed ship. This Iron Lantern suit not only keeps him alive, but also bestows upon him the extraordinary abilities of the Green Lantern. And with this newfound power, he goes by the name Iron Lantern and confronts formidable foes such as Madame Sapphire, Great White, and his arch nemesis, Mandarinestro. Yeah. However, it's worth noting that this character doesn't quite capture all the essence of Iron Man. I mean, naturally, he is also amalgamed with Hal Jordan. Iron Man is all about being just a regular human with exceptional intellect and technology, while with the Green Lantern powers, Iron Lantern loses some of that unique humanity. And number 2 is Iron Goblin. On Earth 19919, the Spider Queen wreaked havoc on New York City, turning folks into creepy spider-human hybrids. But Tony Stark, the Iron Man, had an ace up his mechanical sleeve. He got a dose of the Goblin formula, the same stuff that Norman Osborn used on himself to become the Green Goblin. This serum amped up Stark's game, giving him super strength, speed, and healing powers, plus all the usual Iron Man tech. It was like he won the superhero lottery at that point. But, of course, here's the catch. That formula messes with your head big time, makes you go nuts, like off the charts crazy. So Tony, not wanting to become some total psycho, did something quite amazing. He grabbed the Ebony Blade, one of Marvel's ultimate weapons, and sacrificed himself to save the day. And at number 1 is the God Killer Armor Mark II, as promised. It's a celestial-sized monstrosity, a hidden gem in Tony Stark's arsenal, not because nobody knows about it, but because he actually just keeps the thing off planet. Imagine this, it's orbiting Mars, silently waiting for that one earth-shattering threat. Powered by not 1, not 2, but a whopping 8 nuclear reactors, this bad boy isn't the flashiest when it comes to weaponry, just repulsor blasts. But it compensates with his mind-boggling speed and brute strength. It can zip between Earth and Mars in a blink and lift celestial beings up like it's a walk in the park. But when the Dark Celestials rolled in, Tony decided it was go time for the suit. And for a brief moment, he held his ground against these godlike entities. But they had a trump card in the Callous Void, who tore off the God Killer's left arm. Tony's last resort was that he ejected himself from the suit and made it go boom boom. So while this suit may have only lasted for 2 issues, with a price tag of over $4 billion, it seems like it earned its spot on today's list.
Even though the Flash is the fastest man alive, that doesn't mean that he can't just walk around without clothes on, or I guess run around. You still see a blur, and preferably it's going to be a red one. So, which of the suits that we've seen over the past however many years the Flash has been a thing are actually just so insane that they're also great? That's what we're exploring today. Let's do it. And at 10, the Crash. Coming from Earth C-, the Crash is the fastest animal alive and a member of the Just a Lotta Animals group, which is this world's Justice League. Notice how it still says JLA. On Earth C-, everyone is some form of animal, and it's probably the most ridiculous thing that you could ever read. While his real name is unknown, the Crash is this universe's Flash. And not only that, but he's actually a turtle. In like a classic tortoise in the hare scenario, slow and steady wins the race to get super speed and a connection to the Speed Force. And I'm not even kidding, okay? He fights against characters with names like the Weather Weasel instead of Weather Wizard. Well, that's hilarious. I love that so much. Okay, The Crash was first introduced in Captain Carrot and His Amazing Zoo Friends number 14, which features other superheroes like Wonder Wabbit, what's up Doc, Aquaduck, and Batmouse. And not a Batman that's literally a bat for some reason. I don't know why they went with Batmouse instead of just bat. The Green Lambkin, and not the Green Lantern, but still. My personal favorite though is Green Sparrow. Along with a load of other ridiculous names like The Item, I suggest you go check these out if you're looking for a laugh, because man, this had me cackling, I'm not gonna lie. In at 9, Savitar. As a fan of the Arrowverse, I felt the need to include one of the most interesting evil speedsters from that series, or from those shows. This one being Savitar. And while sharing a name with another evil speedster from the comics, actually, in the show, it's revealed to be a time remnant of Barry Allen, being more of a future Flash than Savitar. Honestly though, he's a combination of both. His story though is pretty messed up. In essence, he made it himself, having like a chicken and the egg scenario where it's just an infinite loop. In the post-Flashpoint Arrowverse timeline, Savitar comes back from the future to kill Iris West before her and Barry can get married. This causes Barry to create as many time remnants as possible, which is basically a clone of himself, in order to stop him later down the line, and Savitar kills all of them but one. The one that he spares gets shunned by the rest of Team Flash for not being the real Barry Allen, even though he is still the real Barry. I don't know, it's weird. It's time travel. Time travel is going to be confusing. So, in an act of fury out of being shunned, the Time Remnant runs back in time, creating a new identity for himself as the first speedster and the god of speed known as Savitar. But the suit he wears allows for him to travel at basically instantaneous speeds, which the show Flash has not been able to do, even in like the recent season. And you can actually only see him if you are a speedster. Normal people couldn't see him, or at least while he was trapped in the Speed Force prison. But yeah, his suit is awesome. It's a freaking suit of armor. It's badass, okay? It's like Hulkbuster meets Red Death. It's dope. In at 8, Hot Pursuit. What is the Flash known for? Running really fast, right? Running so fast that he can beat instantaneous teleportation, which he has done in the comics. So, what's the deal with this Flash? Being first introduced in the Flash Volume 3 number 6, Hot Pursuit is a version of Barry Allen from another universe who came to warn his counterpart about an impending disaster, which ends up being Flashpoint. The difference is that this Flash doesn't run. He instead has a Speed Force powered motorcycle called the Cosmic Motorcycle. Yeah, his cowl is a motorcycle helmet and his suit is black and white. This version of Barry Allen doesn't seem to have a physical connection to the Speed Force, only being able to access it through his motorcycle. Unfortunately though, Hot Pursuit dies 6 issues later in the Flash Volume 3 number 12 as a part of the Road to Flashpoint event. The moniker of Hot Pursuit would later be adopted by Patty Spivot after she stole his gear from the Central City Police Department. Also, fun fact, the Flash showrunner wanted to bring back Patty Spivot and Julian Albert for the Flash finale, where it would have been revealed that they are now a crime-fighting duo called Hot Pursuit. In at 7, Speed Demon. A while ago, I wrote a list about the Amalgam universe that combined DC and Marvel characters, and I've mentioned it from time to time. And Speed Demon comes from that universe. A combination of Barry Allen and Johnny Blaze. Blaze Allen, not Barry Blaze or Johnny Allen, was a circus daredevil who sold his soul to become the first Speed Demon. The demon component, Etrigan, was also formerly Jay Garrick before the Night Spectre stole Jay's soul. The Night Spectre approached Blaze and asked him to serve in his attempts to collect souls of the most pure and the most corrupt. Blaze Allen refused, so in an attempt to persuade him, at his wedding night, Spectre stole Iris's soul. Blaze then accepts the bond, hoping to get Iris back, or at least to ensure her safety. Speed Demon only speaks in rhymes, but is a speedster with a flaming skull head that can also breathe hellfire. Yeah, Wally West, an amalgam of Wally West and Danny Ketch, was the next speed demon who accepted the power in order to help his uncle get Iris back, but I mean, come on, a fire-breathing, speeding ball of fire and lightning, that's badass. Hell yeah, I would do that. I want to cosplay that. That's dope. That's insane. And at 6, Future Flash. You know what? I actually kind of like the Future Flash suit, but the story of how Flash hates the Flash is definitely convoluted. And I'm not talking like Wally hating Barry. I'm talking about Barry Allen getting so mad at himself that he travels back in time to kill his younger version. Yeah. While Savitar was introduced as the Future Flash in the show, the real Future Flash is very different in the comics. When Iris and Wally get into a car accident, Wally dies and Iris gets paralyzed. Blaming himself for not being there, Barry becomes a much darker hero. He kills Reverse Flash, Mirror Master, and Grodd before turning his attention to the past. The Speed Force ends up having a tear in it, and Barry kills his younger self and uses the energy of that death to seal it. Good Barry then wakes up in a savage world, which is a place outside of time, and uses his intelligence to return to the normal world and fights against himself again. Although, given how the show kept mention of how Savitar remembers everything Barry did because he's just a future version of him, I don't know why Future Flash didn't see this coming. But yeah, it's Blue Flash, but also not like the Blue Lantern Flash, so I don't know. I like it, but I mean, other people don't. It's my cup of tea. I like it. I also don't like tea. So halfway through into number 5, the terrific What's It. Earlier I talked about the Crash, turtle from Earth C- that has super speed, but now I bring to you an even more ridiculous version, the terrific What's It. Burton McSnurtle first appeared in Funny Stuff #1 in 1944 and was a World War II era hero. He has super speed, super strength, and can fly. The reason he's called What's It is because in an effort to conceal his identity, he takes off his shell when he puts on his costume, so nobody knows that he's a turtle. That's even funnier than the whole Superman glasses things, okay? And like, this version is a version of the Flash because he dresses like Jay Garrick with the helmet and everything. I'm not kidding, it's incredible, okay? I love it so much. And his name is McSnurtle. He's McSnurtle the Turtle. Hell yeah, baby. And in 4, Bizarro Flash. When Bizarro III found himself infused with radiation from a blue sun, he got the power to replicate himself as well as create other Bizarro life forms based upon the likeness of people from Earth, which is going to have a ton of legal repercussions, but whatever, that's aside the point. He used this power to create a cube-shaped Minecraft-like Earth he called Bizarro World, where one of the inhabitants he creates for it is Bizarro Flash. Bizarro Flash, not Bizarro, but whatever. The post-crisis Bizarro Flash is morbidly obese and super slow, which is just ridiculous, but he can, for some reason, fly at the speed of light, which also doesn't make any sense, but hey, it's comic books, what can you really do? Some versions of this Bizarro can still run fast, but get winded easily, so they don't really pose much of a threat. Certainly not against someone like Kingdom Come Flash, who never stops running. But this version of Bizarro Flash also has a line of mustard for a logo instead of a lightning bolt, which just makes it funnier, although I do have a craving for hot dogs. Getting close to the end, and in number 3, No Rules to Follow. In an Elseworld story where metahumans are hated, much like mutants in the Marvel Universe, 10 individuals with superpowers band together to try to get the world to trust them by doing good deeds. These people, who on another Earth would be known as the Flash, Shark, Fire, Dr. Light, Polaris, Power Girl, Poison Ivy, Tasmanian Devil, Changeling, and Metamorpho, unfortunately don't accomplish their goal, since their attempts to contain a nuclear meltdown make everything worse. After this disaster, metahumans go into hiding, and a few metas, Flash included, began raiding military bases that had previously attacked them. But after a battle with the quote-unquote Control Squad, which was a group of high-tech operatives with the Wayne Foundation created to fight the metahuman metas, caused an even further split, resulting in Ivy, Changeling, and Metamorpho all hating the military even more. But when Superman showed himself, after some convincing, Wayne funded a new group made of the 10 original metas minus those who wanted revenge, and replaced those 3 with Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, and Superman. This new group, which was dedicated to upholding tolerance and justice for humans and metahumans alike, became known as the Justice League. But this version of Flash looks really weird, okay? It's like if Juggernaut was cosplaying the Flash, which is kind of cool, but also extremely terrifying. Penultimately, in at number 2, White Lantern. When Barry Allen became a White Lantern at the end of the Blackest Night storyline, he in essence became a god. I described this in Most Powerful Green Arrow's list, but hot damn do these dudes have some sweet powers. They can use any color of light from the spectrum of light, since, you know, white light is just a combination of all other colors, because, you know, I'm sure you've seen that album cover, you know, or at least the Eevee version of the album cover when it's like the prism and whatever. And you know that White Lanterns also have power over life, including the ability to duplicate their rings and resurrect people. Basically anything you can think of, they can do it. It's actually insane. The White Lanterns are basically gods, but with many different avatars. Like whatever god you believe in, or like if you think of duplicating themselves, they would still have powers. Yeah, okay. White Lanterns are cool, okay? Just they're dope. And finally, in at number 1, Black Flash. The actual physical representation of death for all speedsters, Black Flash is the Grim Reaper of the Speed Force. Making his first appearance in The Flash Volume 2, number 138 from 1998, he was seen before the deaths of several speedsters including Barry Allen, Johnny Quick, and Bart Allen. He also tried to return Wally West to the Speed Force, however was unsuccessful, taking Linda Park instead, Wally's girlfriend. Black Flash eventually returned to try and claim Wally again, freezing time for everyone without a connection to the Speed Force, but thanks to the combined efforts of multiple speedsters, Wally was able to race Black Flash to the end of time, causing death to have no meaning, I guess. The CW Black Flash, which was really just Hunter Zolomon aka Zoom, was killed during season 3 of The Flash when Savitar lured him out of the Speed Force, and Killer Frost froze him, resulting in her first kill that actually also turned out to be her ex, which is, dare I say, ice cold. But that didn't stop the Speed Force anyway, since later in the comics, Barry Allen returned in the Flash Rebirth story, becoming the new Black Flash, so this is also a version of the original Flash, which makes it viable for this list.
When it comes to saving people and stopping crime, you would at least have to look cool when you do it. Or else, what's the point, right? What's going on, Nerd Squad, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. In the CW Flash show, Barry Allen's suits are created at Star Labs, but there are many other suits to take a look at, some from the comics. Some are flashy, some are cool looking, some have actual purposes in their suit, and some are just made of spandex just to make your body look good, which I'm all about. I'm your host for today, Taylor McWaters, and here are the top 10 most powerful Flash suits. Let's dive in. Number 10, Jay Garrick, Golden Age Flash suit. He made his first debut into comics in Flash Comics issue 1. He was the first Flash in comics, so of course we're gonna start with his look of choice. He rocks the blue pants and the red top with the lightning bolt. That's classic. But the one thing that really stands out with Jay Garrick is the winged hat, also known as Hermes' helmet, which he basically just hucks this thing and it bounces off of skulls and walls and anything with pinpoint accuracy and then returns to him. Kind of like Captain America's shield, only more badass. Don't tell Cap. And before we go on to number 9, if you guys want to go ahead and hit that like button, that would be great because they honestly help us out a lot here on the channel. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for watching. Now back to some more flashy Flash looks. Number 9, Barry Allen's Silver Age suit. Super suits are great. They cover up your secret identity, they keep you safe, they keep your loved ones safe, but where exactly do you store a super suit without anybody else finding out your secret identity? Well, the Flash of Earth 1 and the Silver Age, Barry Allen, would store his suit inside a ring with a secret compartment. So what happens is Barry presses a button, the suit pops out, and when it's exposed to air, it expands, and then Barry can quickly suit up all in the blink of an eye. I would love a costume ring, honestly, not for like clothes or like anything, but like just for sleeping bags, because getting that bed in or out never works. I just give up, I stuff it in like I'm late for class, you know, just whatever, we'll deal with it next summer. Toss, bye. The ring itself is pretty fancy even without the suit. It's a mixture of gold and stainless steel and a special alloy that Barry himself created. Mr. Fancy Pants. So if you think you could just replace it like you would a phone case, you're horribly mistaken. Number 8, Wally West Rebirth. When Barry Allen went back in time and kicked off the whole Flashpoint event, Wally West was missing after all this mess had unfolded. So Wally was replaced, but that original version of him from before never came back. Until Rebirth. And his suit is more red than anything this time around, which I'm a fan of. The yellow is nice, but when it's just one color, I don't know, it makes me happy for some reason. I like when it's just one thing. One of the best features of this upgrade on the suit is that his hair is free to blow in the wind, which is a very important upgrade. Whenever I see a superhero wearing a helmet with like a chin strap, I can't help but kind of laugh. It doesn't look the most badass. I mean, sometimes it does, but most of the time it's like, here to fight crime. It's like, no, let's get the hair out, look cool, you know? Let it blow in the wind, be free. There's white lightning visible when he uses his powers, and it's silver when he's not. I also love how they added additional lightning bolts to the lines on the exterior of his boots. Kind of reminds me of the hover boots from Ocarina of Time. They just look like super boots, you know? Number 7, Jesse Quick. If you were pumped about the hair flowing that goes along with the crime fighting with the Rebirth Wally West, wait until you see this suit. So Jesse Quick made her first comic book debut in Justice Society of America, Volume 2, Issue 1. And she looks quite different. I mean, for starters, she's rocking the sleeveless look, but she also has a blue jacket over top of her bodysuit. Looks great, I love it. Her long hair is free to flow in the wind, and she's come equipped with goggles this time around, which we see speedsters use more than a few times. I mean, a bug going into your eye at super speed, yeah, that's a no for me. Jessie also uses her super speed to fly. I don't know, maybe it's that blue jacket, maybe it catches the wind on the perfect angle and she just... Number 6, Nightmare Suit. Perhaps one of the most enticing moments of the Snyderverse happened during these nightmare sequences. So while Justice League 2 was supposed to take place during this nightmarish time, this was the future where Superman had lost Lois Lane, and he himself obtained the anti-life equation and became Darkseid's pawn, essentially. Now during these scenes, the Flash is a key piece. He's the one that warns Bruce in Batman vs Superman after his nightmare. But his suit even looks futuristic at this point. Check it out. In a recent interview with Justice League costume designer Michael Wilkinson, he goes in deeper on this futuristic suit in terms of design and purpose. So they added an outer shell casing on the Flash's regular suit to protect him even more from these incredible speeds. Now in the Justice League Snyder Cut, Barry does run back the clock at the end, but his current suit was able to keep Barry intact. But if we're talking about warning Bruce years back and maybe running the clock back years at a time, he might need some nanotech armor to help him on his cosmic travels. Number 5. Walter West, Dark Flash. He made his introduction to DC Comics back in 1999 with The Flash Volume 2, Issue 150. The Dark Flash came around to take Wally West's place after he had vanished into the Speed Force, so now this dude is in Keystone City. I'll be honest, this is one of my favorite suits to look at, I mean style-wise. The dark color takes the cake, a little more badass than Jay Garrick. No offense, Jay. He's not here, but imagine if he was, we wouldn't even see him. So this Dark Flash was actually an alternate reality version of Wally West known as Walter West. Number 4, Bart Allen Impulse Suit. I gotta mention Bart Allen on this list because we were already on the topic of that costume ring earlier. So because Bart's first costume ring where he stored this Impulse suit was a gift from Wally West, it was actually a replica of that original ring. So Bart Allen is a member of the Flash family born in the 30th century, because you know how speedsters do it, and he's the grandson of Barry Allen, but he returned to the past to continue his family's legacy. And his suit has stealth tech, so it can change its appearance by activating a button hidden on its chest. That Darkwear suit looks pretty sweet. I mean, any stealth suit gets me jazzed up. I love me a good stealth suit. It's the only suit that I use when I play Spider-Man PS4. Little fun fact for you. Number 3, Old Man Barry Allen Future Suit. During the Year 1 storyline, Barry accidentally travels through time where he meets, well, himself. This isn't a new concept for the Flash's storylines, but this version was much older and much more badass. See, this time around he lost the sleeves, which, I mean, we get it, you're cool, but it also shows that Barry doesn't need to fully protect himself with armor. He can just show some of the big guns off while he's doing his speed stuff. Number 2, Professor Zoom Reverse Flash Suit. This is where super suits can come back around and bite you in the ass. So the year was 2463. Avatar 2 has finally been released in theaters, but most importantly, a time capsule materialized out of the air, and then inside were these timeless relics from the 20th century, like Avatar 1 on Blu-ray, and a costume of course used by the Flash, mainly. So Thawne decided to amplify the super speed wave patterns that were left in the suit using 25th century tech, and alas, he now has a super suit that gives him the ability of super speed. His next step was to just change up the color design and get on his speedy way. So he took on the mantle of Professor Zoom, the fastest criminal in history, so as long as he wears this suit, he has those powers. How awesome of a gift would that be? Later versions of the character had different origins so that it wasn't just the suit that gave Thawne abilities, and we can see the powered suit version in the CW's The Flash. Check it out.
You're all dead.
And finally, number 1, the Blue Lantern suit. Yes, one of, if not the most powerful suit that the Flash has worn has to be during the Blackest Night storyline, where Barry Allen becomes a Blue Lantern of Hope. So we have the 7 colors of the spectrum, each representing a different emotion. So we got to see other characters take on the role of a lantern. So now we get to see the Flash, who's already amazing with his own powers. He gets another bling ring, but this time in the form of a Blue Lantern core ring. Now the driving force of hope is what powers up the Blue Lanterns, whereas Green Lanterns use willpower. And seeing the Flash have this, I mean, man, it was quite the spectacle. And it looks cool too.
You've seen part 1, now get ready for part 2. I'm Adam Andrews, and this is part 2 of the top 10 most useful Batman suits you've never seen before. Number 10, Dick Grayson's Batsuit. After the fall of Azrael Batman, Dick Grayson was the next best option, even if it wasn't what either him or Bruce wanted. Grayson made some significant changes to the Batsuit to better the suit to his style and preferences. For example, he said, "No capes!" just like Edna Mode from The Incredibles. No, he didn't, but I wanted to say it. He did actually include a cape, but it was much lighter and had more specific parachute-like functions. He changed the utility belt too, making it metal and streamlined. No longer a big pouchy leather belt, it had mechanical compartments instead. While not useful for any specific moment, it was useful in allowing Dick Grayson to take up the Batman mantle more effectively when he needed to. Number 9, the Hazbat suit. Batman is famous for being prepared for any situation. One such situation would be bioattacks, bioweapons, contagions, and other related issues. Of course Batman has a plan. The Robin named Hazbat suit is a lightweight suit that protects Batman from any airborne contagion. It also has medical scanners that aid Batman in locating the source and counter-agent to any infection he may be affected by. But this suit is not a pushover either, just because it's medically based. It's able to withstand hits from Superman. Seems like a pretty useful suit to me. Number 8, Azrael. After the extremely famous Batman moment where Bane broke Bruce Wayne's back, there was a need for someone to take up the Batman mantle. Bruce Wayne's choice ended up being John Paul Valley, otherwise known as the anti-hero Azrael. Due to his mental conditioning, while with the Order of St. Dumas, he was a much more violent Azbat, even allowing people to die. His suit reflected not only his violent tendencies, but the era in the 90s that it premiered in. John Paul created a gray, yellow, and blue battlesuit with red accents. It had flamethrowers, gun batarangs, claws, and a night vision helmet. His violent ways forced the return of Batman, and the sweet suit was abandoned. But some of its capabilities would certainly have been useful in lots and lots of situations. Number 7. Superman Red Sun. We don't actually know a ton about the Batman of the Superman Red Sun story, other than his origin. What I picked up from actually reading this comic is that this version of the Caped Crusader is a bit more of an improviser, making use of what he has more than being able to purchase absolutely everything he needs. His suit and even the Batcave actually kind of reflect this. It's less form-fitting, being more like a coat and snow pants. And he even sports a Ushanka style cowl. He also had more pockets and pouches all over and is seen with a bat-shaped axe grappling hook type weapon thingy. Due to his position as leader of a terrorist group, he carries bombs alongside his usual gear, and he even had a Batman-shaped dummy somewhere in one of those little tiny pockets. Number 6, Kingdom Come. In the story Kingdom Come, we see a world set 20 years in the future, when the noble, great heroes had mostly all retired, giving way to a younger generation of anti-heroes. Bruce Wayne had his identity revealed and had been crippled by Bane and Two-Face. This, along with his natural human aging, caused him to retire, but it's Batman, and he will never fully be out of the game. He completely turned to the Bat side, becoming the Batman, abandoning his real name and taking rule over Gotham City from his Batcave with an army of robotic Bat Knights. But this is a list about Bat suits. His new Bat suit is a mechanized power armor that allows Batman to fight in hand-to-hand combat despite his past injuries. The suit comes with grappling hooks, lasers, and sharp blades, and it can even allow Batman to fly. If that weren't enough, not only does it allow him to move like he once did, it actually gives him super strength as well. Number 5, a Joker Batsuit. What's the best way to attack Batman? You attack him personally. In the Joker War storyline, Joker does exactly that, stealing Bruce's money, his influence as Batman, and his weaponry and equipment. He even steals a version of the Batsuit. What makes this even more of a personal attack is that this suit was meant to be a possible future Bright Knight suit. Joker modified the suit with a big smile over the bat symbol and ha-has all over it. We first see the suit after it is shown that the Joker dug up the body of Alfred and reanimated it with the Joker toxin. Everything he is doing is to personally attack Bruce, and this suit, in combination with everything else, was the perfect way to do that. Its use isn't helpful. Its use is against Batman. Is that cheating? I mean, I don't know. You decide. Number 4. Thanagarian armor. In the DC Justice miniseries, Batman ends up wearing a suit of Thanagarian armor to protect himself from Brainiac's mind control. This wasn't all this super sweet armor could do though. The armor is able to resist punches from Superman, and it's designed for combat against the world's toughest villains. Like a lot of other useful Batman armors, this suit also has a propulsion and wing system that allows him to fly, helping him deal with many more threats. It is also very obviously a callback to the old Batmobile from the 1966 Batman live-action series with the black metal red accent look. It's a shame we don't see more of it. Number 3. Augmentation suit. In a Batman and Robin New 52 storyline, Batman faces off against a villain called Terminus, trying to prevent him from destroying the world. Bruce faces Terminus in a new suit called the Augmentation suit that is equipped inside the Batmobile. While we haven't seen much of this suit yet, it is more agile than Batman's other armored suits, and it's capable of granting the man inside crazy super strength, the ability of flight, and it allows Batman to stop a nuclear missile dead in its tracks, which is really all I need to say. It's an incredibly advanced and strong Batsuit, easily making it one of the most useful. Number 2. Rookie Bat armor. This point actually technically covers 2 suits. And one is another mech suit. This isn't actually worn by Bruce Wayne. This suit actually appeared at the end of Endgame. The DC story Endgame, not Avengers Endgame, obviously. And is worn by none other than Jim Gordon when Bruce is missing and presumed dead. The super heavy Batsuit and the small stealth suit inside of it were created by Powers Tech for the GCPD. It had digital camo, thermal imaging, an auto defibrillator, enhanced strength, cape-shaped bomb shields, rocket thrust boots, anti-gravity magnets boots, a tear gas cannon, a smoke pulse cannon, decibel defense, and a voice changer. It allowed the former commissioner to take the place of Batman for a short period of time. So yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. Before we get on to the number 1 pick, I just want to say a quick thanks from me and all of us at Top 10 Nerd for watching, liking, and subscribing. Unlike Batman and the Bat Family, we appreciate and need your support all of the time, not just when things get difficult. Number 1. The Hellbat suit. So we all know Batman is just a dude in a batsuit. He has to use his ingenuity and skill to defeat threats that metahumans can face one-on-one. But when the threat is too great, the metahumans help him out. Enter the Hellbat suit. Designed by the Justice League core members, the Hellbat suit was actually forged by Superman inside the sun. The Hellbat armor allows Batman to fly, run at super speed, and emit huge energy blasts, while also boosting up his strength and durability. Obviously it has to have a downside, or there's no reason he wouldn't wear it all the time. It slowly drains Bruce Wayne's life force, and would actually kill him if he wore it too long.
And at number 10 is the original 1939 Batsuit. What would this list be without touching on the original suit that Bruce made his debut in? With bat ears situated over the actual ears and a very profuse bat wing-like cape inspired by Leonardo da Vinci's sketch of an ornithopter flying device, the costume would later change slightly in Batman's follow-up appearances over the next year. Cannon Finger drew upon a lot of contemporary 1930s pop culture for his aesthetic and his weaponry, including films like Mark of Horror and pulp heroes like Dick Tracy and Sherlock Holmes. And at number 9 is the Batman Beyond suit. While it might not be Bruce Wayne wearing this suit, it's definitely a slick reimagining for his successor in Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis. If you're unfamiliar with the show, it takes place in the future, and Terry is being mentored by a now retired Bruce Wayne. It's a high-tech batsuit, and Terry eventually convinces a reluctant Bruce that he should take up the mantle. He even steals one of the batsuits too right off the get-go. And at number 8 is Adam West's 1960s Batman. This one makes the list for the giggles, friends. Adam West's Batman of the 60s television series and the 1966 film is one of the most iconic, especially since his Batman was one of the first to really hit mainstream pop culture and make superheroes more of a norm. Whenever he would leave the Batcave, he'd slide down the bat pole, which apparently had a costuming device that would dress him in his batsuit. Stripper poles. Only not a stripper pole when you're a fireman, but if you're not a fireman, it's still a stripper pole. And at number 7 is the zebra suit. So the Silver Age gave us a whole lot of silly Batman moments. And while there's a ton of other great Silver Age versions of his suit that we could touch on, this one in particular is a personal favorite, and so damn ridiculous. So in Detective Comics 275, Batman and Robin take on a foe named Zebra Man, who finds a way to charge his body with energy, creating lines of force. These emanate off his body, and he can control it with a button on his utility belt. But when Batman apprehends him, he gets hit with the energy and can't control it, making lines of force shoot off his own body, causing everything around him to be whipped in the opposite direction. Even the boy Wonder keeps his distance. What's your favorite Batman Silver Age suit? Let me know in the comments below, guys. And number 6 is the Thrasher suit. This suit is technically a power suit, which we will be touching on a bit later on. But this one appears in 2012's Night of the Owls story arc, which by the way is probably the best series in the New 52 era. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's work on it was fantastic. This suit was designed to take on the practically immortal legions of Court of Owls, the Talons, and it's heavily armored and temperature resistant. And at number 5 is the Arkhamverse Batsuit. Going back to a bit more of a classic take on the Batsuit here, we have the Arkhamverse Batsuit, specifically the Arkham City version, because it's super freaking cool. A contemporary take on the suit, it's got all the classic bits but upgraded. Kevlar padding, armored plates made of ceramic that is layered with kinetic damping gel, and biochemical support technology. The cowl has a graphite exterior with Kevlar paneling inside, making it impact resistant and protects from small caliber firearms and concussive blows. And the cape, made of memory cloth that becomes rigid, allowing him to glide. Talk about a work of art. And to boot, if you're not feeling the suit in the game, you can always download a skin of one of the many other Batsuits, including ones from the animated series, the Frank Miller version, and the Batman Beyond suit. And at number 4 is the Justice Armor. Designed by Alex Ross for the 2005 Justice series, the suit was inspired by the classic TV series Batmobile, and its utility belt is an homage to the one worn by Adam West in that series. Except it takes on a black and red color scheme, thankfully. It protected him from Brainiac's mind control, and it was capable of resisting hits from Superman, and allows him to fly. Pretty rad. And at number 3 is the Justice Buster. Speaking of justice, this suit was designed by Bruce to take on the Justice League, and it's like a massive rhino tank. He takes on each of the Justice League members individually, and has personalized tactics via the suit to defeat each. It has a bind of veils that tricks Diana into thinking she's killed bats. He beats Aquaman by shooting foam at him that sucks the moisture out of him, which is kinda f***ed up. It has citrin neutralizer to knock out Green Lantern. And for Superman, the suit's knuckles are equipped with microscopic red suns that knock him out. And inside its helmet, he has a piece of chewable synthetic polymer, aka gum, that contains kryptonite dust particles, which Bat spits out at Superman. And number 2 is the Hellbat. So this one's super cool. Batman designed this suit with the help of each member of the Justice League. Wonder Woman worked on it in Hephaestus' workshop, it was submerged in the high pressure depths of the ocean by Aquaman, and Superman forged it in the sun. Bats goes to the planet Apocalypse, which has a hellish landscape, where he combats an army of parademons, and defeats Darkseid's son. And finally, in our number 1 spot, the Pyro suit from The Dark Knight Returns. This is the suit that Bruce whips out on special occasions where he needs a little extra armor support and firepower. Appearing most iconically in Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, the Pyro suit is useful for taking on superhuman foes like the Man of Steel. I mean, it was designed to take him on, really. It's an armored exoskeleton with the power to whip around the Batmobile with one hand. It also makes an appearance in the recent Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice film. And realistically, friends, the Power suit is probably the most literal personification of Batman's plot armor to date, amplifying his power to that of many of foes that a human in peak physical and mental condition just wouldn't be able to take on.
A phallic but deadly ensemble, letters fashioned into a weaponized garment, and possibly the boldest thematic hairstyle I have ever seen. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. It's me, Amanda, and this is the top 10 dumbest villain suits we can't believe exist. We're talking about all kinds of looks here, so join me and feel free to comment with your guesses of who I'm referring to in this intro in the comments below. And then join me on this magical journey where we talk about dumb suits. I love doing it. Number 10, Typeface. What a strange one. Typeface was a fairly short-lived villain from Spider-Man comics. He made his first appearance in Peter Parker Spider-Man issue number 23. Initially, Typeface was villain Gordon Thomas. After suffering much misfortune in his life and being laid off from the only job that gave him solace, creating signs, he decided to become a villain, aiming to get retribution. He took a grease pencil and wrote a bunch of letters on his face, that big R on his forehead for retribution, and he also donned a bunch of letters, wearing them on his clothes and sometimes kind of like a necklace of sorts. This was his look. Now, he didn't really have any powers, just a passion for fonts and letters, although he was military trained, so at least he had that. His time as a criminal was quite short, as he was pretty quickly inspired by Spider-Man actually, and a memory of his brother, to seek redemption instead of retribution. But even his time as a hero also was not really that long, probably in part due to how ridiculous his outfit and his gimmick was, as typeface. He literally fought people by throwing letters at one point, so that's kind of where we're at. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, don't miss out on any of our content by clicking that subscribe button and make sure you have that bell. Hit that bell so you can get all the notifications when we have new content for you. Number 9, Kite Man. I love Kite Man, but no matter what suit I see him in, pretty much all of them are ridiculous because, well, I mean, he's so ridiculous. Kite Man has to be one of the highlights of the Harley Quinn animated series. Although I'm a bit behind right now, to be honest, he has been one of the greatest characters that stand out to me from that show, and honestly, I love how much dimension they give Kite Man. Like, this show made me such a Kite Man fan, and even though, yeah, I think his suit is dumb, that doesn't mean that I don't love Kite Man. When it comes to his suit, of course, it is pretty dumb because, I mean, well, he wears a kite on his back. That's pretty ridiculous, which he uses or attempts to use to commit crimes. But that doesn't mean I love him any less. In fact, I probably love him even more because of how dumb his look and his gimmick are. Hell yeah! Number 8, Original Kang the Conqueror. Even though I do love Kang, and also I personally do love his look, even I cannot deny that he looks absolutely ridiculous. From the helmet to the tunic down to the metallic adornments on his outfit here. This look is definitely one that seems to have emerged from a time storm, but I wouldn't necessarily guess from the future myself. Although something that you do have to admire and admit about it is that it is iconic, it's striking, and it stands out. The original Kang look was created by Jack Kirby, who truly is a legendary artist, and despite the fact that, you know, this look now feels dated, the fact remains that this costume has pretty much remained the same throughout the character's long history, which I think is a testament to, you know, how striking and iconic it is. When it comes to his standard look, you know, this is pretty much it. So yes, it might seem ridiculous, but it certainly is memorable and despite being silly, is still very clearly loved by a lot of us. Even in the MCU, they pretty much left this look as is. They just kind of like texturized it, I think, a little bit, and other than that, I mean, it looks great in the MCU, even though objectively ridiculous. Number 7, New 52 Riddler. I love the Riddler as a villain, but not all of his looks have been smash hits. Included in the lot that are not so great is his redesign from the New 52. We first see him, I believe, as an inmate in Arkham Asylum there. He wears a bandana with 2 holes cut out as, you know, places for his eyes to go, the usual Arkham inmate suit, and of course sports that famous, but honestly very terrible, green question mark mohawk, but trimmed all the way down. It's definitely a look, but it's not a look that I'm really a fan of for Riddler, I will tell you that. I like New 52 Riddler the best when he's in a suit decorated with question marks. Even the Jim Carrey version of this character in question mark bespeckled spandex is way preferred to me over this look. Fortunately, as New 52 would go on, this design would evolve and change. Thank goodness. New 52 was an interesting time for a lot of people in redesigns. Number 6, Marvel Now High Evolutionary. Everyone right now wants to talk about how great the High Evolutionary is, and I get it. In Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, he was a horrific villain, and Chukwudi Iwuji nailed the role completely. He really made for a good and true classic villain, but let's take a look at the High Evolutionary in the comics. What is he like? Well, he's about as ridiculous looking as the harebrained science schemes he ends up involved in. I can tell you that much. While pretty much every look he's had looks completely weird to me, I think one of the most strange for me personally is the one he wore during the 2012 Marvel Now event. Here he donned his normal metal suit, but with more added studs. Number 5, Calendar Man's Calendar Cape. I mean, you have to give him some points for super committing, but the Calendar Man cape is pretty objectively ridiculous, I would say. This costume at least also came with somewhat of an improved gimmick with more deadly weapons at his disposal as well. I believe the first appearance of the Calendar Cape was in issue 312 of Batman. Instead of him being a magician who is secretly a criminal, fond of riddles and various antics tied to days of the week, holidays, and even seasons, this time around Calendar Man was more fixated on the days of the week and the gods that they were named after, theming many of his crimes around them. Although, to be honest, if I were going to cosplay as Calendar Man, I would definitely wear a calendar. cape. Number 4, Shocker. I mean, Shocker is just all around pretty ridiculous in the comics, I think. I think we can all agree on that. And his costume is no exception. Shocker basically looks like he took a sofa, gutted it, and turned it into his costume. Which perhaps makes sense when you consider his abilities. He typically attempts to shock Spider-Man, so perhaps being insulated helps him to protect himself against his own shock-inducing weapons? I don't know. Still, you can't deny that even if there is some kind of practical use for this look, that he doesn't look absolutely ridiculous in it, because he definitely does. And honestly, I'm not really even sure if there's a practical use for this suit. I'm just trying to help make it make sense. I want it to make sense, but I don't know if there is a reason for why he wears it. Number 3, Batman the Animated Series Condiment King. Condiment King is one of my all-time favorite villains because he simply is so ridiculous. What can I say? I'm a sucker for ridiculous dumb characters, especially villains. But him also being a villain armed to the teeth with condiments also means he's gonna look pretty ridiculous as he roams the town, squirting people with ketchup and mustard. That being said, his look in the animated series still takes the cake for one of the dumbest of all of his looks. Of course, this was done on purpose. You can tell pretty much everyone that has designed a Condiment King look is, in on the joke. What I really love about this ridiculous look is the fact that he's literally wearing white underwear over his suit, which is just hilarious. Such a play on ridiculous costumes in general. Costumes that we think look great, but are still kind of ridiculous. Also white underwear when you're firing condiments. Dangerous. Number 2, First MODOK. The very first appearance of MODOK was in Tales of Suspense issue number 94. This design is another created by Jack Kirby, which throughout the years has mainly remained unchanged. Sure, there have been different MODOKs and some alternate looks offered to us, but the main MODOK look has pretty much remained about the same. A suit that contains a giant head with little limbs fully sheathed in purple metal, and all seemingly floating and contained by a hover chair, which MODOK uses to get around. The implication here is that his little legs can no longer support the weight of his massive head and brain. The look is ridiculous, sure, but it really does help MODOK to stand out. And it's also this dumb look that has kind of helped to inform his character over the years, which also I love. While he often yearns to be as terrifying as the words that his name stands for implies, he also is just super ridiculous. Number 1, Codpiece's Codpiece. Codpiece, of course, is none other than a Doom Patrol villain because, well, I mean, look at this guy. His whole thing is weapons. A very specific weapon located in a very specific place. It's a big red gun that he wears on a harness, acting as a weaponized, codpiece. Why this costume? Why this gimmick? That's a good question. Because when he was in high school, he once asked a girl out and she turned him down for being quote unquote too small. Now, she didn't mean what he thought she did. She meant simply that he was too short. Misinterpreting this and seeking to prove himself, he became the criminal known as Codpiece. In the comics, I believe he was a one and done villain. I feel like I'd be nervous wearing a costume like this because if someone shot back at your weapon, the location of it might result in you being damaged in some pretty sensitive parts. So definitely makes sense that he was a one and done villain though. I mean, I feel like, what else are you gonna do with this guy?
The habit of the Black Panther is a highly advanced vibranium lace suit that affords the Black Panther a protective and technological edge in combat. In this list, however, we are going to talk about versions of the suit that are a little less known. I'm Adam Andrews with Top 10 Nerd, and this is the top 10 most useful Black Panther suits you've never seen before. Casper Cole. Before Kevin Casper Cole became the White Tiger, he was a narcotics officer. Seeking a promotion, he and a few other officers began performing unsanctioned drug busts. Casper wore a bulletproof Black Panther costume that he took from his boss, which absolutely gave him an edge. Like when he and his other officers were ambushed by a crooked cop that resulted in the other officers being put in the ICU. Casper was suspended for not wearing his vest, and he posed as the Black Panther for a time to bring down Sal and the 66 Bridges gang. Other than the usual benefits of a Panther habit, Kevin's suit sported a trench coat and many more pockets and pouches as he wielded actual 9mm pistols. I almost want to call it Detective Panther suit. Number 9. Hell's Kitchen. After being ambushed by Dr. Doom, who put T'Challa in a coma T'Challa, another had to take up the role of Black Panther. T'Challa lost his enhanced abilities, and after the events of Doom War, he rendered all of Wakanda's vibranium inert. So, no powers, no vibranium, and no longer the ruler of Wakanda. How about a vacation to Hell's Kitchen? After being possessed by a demonic entity, Matt Murdock, Daredevil, needed time to recover and rediscover himself away from his home, and he left the defense of Hell's Kitchen to T'Challa. Enter the Black Panther Man Without Fear story. As the now depowered street-level defender of Hell's Kitchen, T'Challa had to rely on the basics, such as his body armor, homemade gadgets, and his fighting ability. This suit doesn't really display its own usefulness. I'd say that instead, it displays the usefulness and ingenuity of T'Challa himself. Stop right there, criminal scum. Kidding. You're only a criminal because you're so criminally good looking. Okay, I've given you a compliment. Now you give me one by liking and subscribing. I think this is a good trade-off. I boost your confidence. You support this channel so we don't fall into the black abyss of obscurity. Cool. Thanks. Love you guys. Number 8. Wedding suit. A bit more of an unconventional pick for a list like this. Back in 2006, during the time of the Marvel Civil War storyline, a wedding took place. A wedding between the King of Wakanda, the Black Panther, T'Challa, and the X-Men, African princess, and some people say goddess, Aurora Monroe. Storm. The event itself was built up for a few issues in the 2005 Black Panther storyline, and in issue number 18, it finally took place. In this event, T'Challa dons a more ceremonial panther habit, a gold necklace and a gold belt, and the classic cape. This suit doesn't serve a special function in combat outside of serving as a wedding suit, but marriage is its own kind of combat, am I right? Number 7. Ghost Panther. In this alternate reality, called Warp World, the character T'Challa was merged with the character of the Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze. And can I just say how insanely amazing of an idea this is? The arrogant Prince T'Challa is exiled from Wakanda and goes to America, taking up the show name Johnny Blaze. After a fatal accident, Jericho Simpson, which is a warp between Brother Voodoo and Crash Simpson, invokes the demon Zarathos, who is the half-sister of the Panther goddess Bast. T'Challa actually refuses to become the spirit of vengeance at first, but eventually he did. Now, while this isn't really a panther habit, it is a Black Panther Ghost Rider who rides a giant flaming panther, and yeah, I don't know, I'm not really seeing a downside here. Number 6. Proto habit. Oh, Deadpool, you silly, amazing character. Okay. So basically, what happens here in Black Panther vs. Deadpool number 4 is that Mr. Poole heads to Wakanda to steal a bit of vibranium to help him heal a mailman. Wade actually ends up grabbing a red ceremonial Wakandan necklace and puts it on to go and make his escape. What he did not know is that this necklace was actually a prototype Panther habit. The suit analyzes his DNA, and since Black Panther has everybody's DNA on file, it remakes itself on Deadpool, adapting to his usual color scheme and the weapons he likes to use, christening himself Panther Poole. Or Dead Panther. No, Panther Pool. Panther Pool's better. It also pretty much brings him up to par with the true Black Panther, which is proven when the two get into it, until Wade's pocket-sized teleporter gets damaged and he teleports to the vibranium mine, which he then teleports to right outside New Jersey. Shuri's suit. As I said before, there was a point in time when T'Challa was attacked by the forces of Dr. Doom, putting him in a coma. The one who took up the mantle of Black Panther was his sister, Princess Shuri. Along with the powers that come with consuming the heart-shaped herb, Shuri also received a panther habit. None of us should be surprised to know that Shuri herself, while being perfectly capable of hand-to-hand combat, prefers using weaponry and tech. This is reflected a little bit in her habit, which is a bit more tech-savvy. Her tech and weaponry include a truncheon, capable of dishing out electric shocks, shock nets, snake bites, which are pellets used to immobilize enemies by releasing knockout gas, and desert sand, which are microscopic sand-like devices that can release an EMP. The claws on Shuri's habit were made of vibranium shells encased by adamantium, which is a little overkill, but nice. She also used to carry standard Wakandan-made spears. She now appears to have Zuri's spear of Bashenga, which belonged to the founder and first king of Wakanda. Number 4. Panther battle armor. Okay, bouncing right off of that, Shuri actually dons another Panther armor during the events of Doom War that I just really want to talk about. Shuri wore a battle mech armor that further amplified her strength, endurance, and durability past its already peak human levels to superhuman levels. The battle suit also had new cool weapons like this pair of vibranium powered daggers. Some versions of this armor that the Dora Milaje wore have flight capabilities with these really sweet heli drone like packs. The battle armor also has sensory arrays that made her an even more formidable adversary. Overall, just an armor that boosts the the already technologically advanced superhuman to another level. Number 3, Ngozi. Okay, so we've seen Ghost Panther and Panther pool suits, but what about when the Black Panther is the host for a symbiote? A former track star who was in an accident that paralyzed her legs, Ngozi of Lagos, Nigeria eventually became bonded with the Venom symbiote. After Black Panther was killed by Rhino, who was trying to capture the symbiote, Ngozi and the symbiote instead defeated Rhino. Ngozi was recognized by the Dora Milaje, who took her to Wakanda, where she actually became the new temporary Black Panther. Ngozi herself now had the powers from the heart-shaped herb, as well as the powers from the symbiote, so her habit was obviously a little different. Imagine the vibranium-laced armor plus a Venom symbiote suit. Why am I asking you to imagine this? It's a comic, we have pictures. Number 2. Heavenly Armor. This new thrice-blessed lightweight suit first appeared in Black Panther Volume 4, number 13, when he teamed up with Blade to fight vampires, which just the idea of that kind of sounds really cool. But this suit just makes it better. This suit has been consecrated in the name of the Panther God, and alongside the suit, he also wields the ebony blade of the Roman Catholic Church. This suit offers him other defenses and abilities than his regular suit. For example, it defends against attacks of a mystical nature. This Panther habit also allows him to fly if he reaches the right speed. It is also incredibly badass. I just wish we got to see more of it. Number 1. Wakanda Hulkbuster. Everybody knows Tony Stark has the Hulkbuster armor. Incredibly useful for taking on the Hulk if he ever loses control. But what I, and I'm sure a bunch of you didn't know, was that Black Panther has a Wakandan Hulkbuster. And boy, this armor is beautiful. It was created to go up against the new, totally awesome Hulk, Amadeus Cho. Unlike his Bruce counterpart, Amadeus Cho's Hulk is very in control, but everyone and their mums are afraid of what could happen. The Hulkbuster itself has sonic cannons, can fire spore clouds, and absorbs and magnifies energy. The armor eventually fails against Amadeus when he releases an EMP-like blast, rips the Buster's arm off, and rushes off to help his sister. But this armor very nearly brought him down, and all it takes is one story for it to be even more capable. Okay nerds, that's the list I have for you today. Let me know down below if you loved it or hated it, or if you still think I'm trying too hard to be funny. Until next time, I'm Adam Andrews, this is Top 10 Nerd. Peace out nerds.
Were these the worst superhero suits of all time? We also think the new Superman Legacy might have the worst Superman suit of all time in it. Click now to find out our detailed breakdown of the Superman Legacy trailer and find out our thoughts. What are you waiting for? Click the video now. Make sure you guys subscribe for more amazing nerdy content from us. We love making videos on all types of things. Click that subscribe button too.